Hey there, welcome to the next video in the Bitbucket Blitz video series. In the last video, I introduced Bitbucket's dynamic pipelines. In this video, I'm going to show how teams can use dynamic pipelines to update all CI/CD pipelines in a workspace with a single command. This capability improves the developer experience, reduces tech debt, and enables organizations to broadly enforce standards across all pipelines. Engineering organizations with many teams and repositories must spend considerable effort updating pipelines whenever new tools are adopted or engineering standards change. For example, if an organization has 200 repositories with CI/CD pipelines, and the organization wants to add a new static analysis step to all those pipelines, developers from various teams would have to spend time manually updating each of those pipeline configurations. This leads to a lot of busy work and duplicated effort across teams. Furthermore, engineering organizations have no easy way to ensure that all of the pipeline configurations have been updated. With dynamic pipelines, organizations can update all pipelines in a workspace with a single forge command. This means that developers get to spend more time building software and solving problems for their customers, and organizations can broadly enforce pipeline standards, ensuring that all required static analysis and testing is being executed by all pipelines in a workspace. Alright, we're starting off in Dynamic Pipeline Demo 1 repository. This is a simple repository with a simple Bitbucket pipeline file that has 3 steps. It's going to do a build, it's going to run some tests, and it's going to run a deploy. Let's take a look at that really quickly. So we can see we've got our build step, we've got our test step, and we've got our deployment step. Now we're going to take a look at a similar repo, Dynamic Pipeline Demo 02, which has a very similar structure and a very similar Bitbucket pipeline YAML file. That is not the same, but it's very close. Again, we've got a build, we've got a test, and we've got a deploy. Now, if we jump over to pipelines on both of these repositories, and we take a look at the most recent Bitbucket pipeline that ran, we can see that we've got our build, test, and deploy step as expected, but we've also got this old reliable dynamic pipeline step, which is just a placeholder that echoes out some lorem ipsum text. This step is being injected at runtime by the dynamic pipeline configuration that's set up for this repository. And if we look at this other repository and we drill in, we see the same thing. We see our build, test, and deploy as expected, and we're getting our old reliable dynamic pipeline step. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to my terminal, and I'm going to modify the dynamic pipeline. I'm going to run a single command, forge deploy, to update the dynamic pipeline that's running in this workspace. Then we're going to trigger pipeline run for both of these repositories that we've looked at, and we're going to see what's changed. All right, so we're in a repository here, and we're going to take a quick look at git status, and we see that there is nothing changed right now. We're going to take a look at our source file. I've already staged a change here. We're going to uncomment this line, which is really simple. This is just going to add a second step. Now, if we take a look at git status, we can see that we've got a modified source/index.js. Now we're going to jump over here. We're going to run forge deploy. All right, so Forge has packaged this up and shipped it off to the workspace those 2 repositories were in. So now we're going to jump back over to Bitbucket and kick off some pipelines. All right, so we're going to click pipeline, we're going to run pipeline, we're going to choose our mainline branch, and we're going to choose default. We're going to click run, and that's going to kick off a pipeline. We're going to jump over to our other repository and repeat this process so we can get both of them running. Let's jump back over. And now we can see we've got a new snazzy dynamic pipeline step that was injected. And again, similar step, just echoes out some lorem ipsum text in this case, but we got this new step injected in this repository when we did the forge deploy, and it's going to run all the existing stuff already. And if we jump over to this repository, we see the same thing. So with the single run of the forge deploy command, we've updated our dynamic pipeline in this workspace, and that's updated the pipelines for both of these repositories. In fact, it's updated the pipelines for all repositories in this workspace. As we saw in the last video, you can set up dynamic pipelines on a per repository basis or for all repositories in a workspace. In this way, platform engineering teams can broadly deploy pipeline updates. So say they wanted to add a new type of static analysis or a new kind of security scanning that it was supposed to run in all workspaces or all repositories in the workspace. They could do that with a single change to their dynamic pipeline code and a single forge deploy command. Developers that work in these repositories don't have to go in and modify their Bitbucket Python.yaml files. They can continue working the way they always have, and they get these updates for free. Again, if we jump back over to the source and we take a look at our bitbucket pipeline.yaml, there is no new dynamic steps added to this. This file hasn't changed. The dynamic pipeline is injecting the updated functionality. Thank you for watching and learning about Bitbucket's dynamic pipelines. You can learn more about dynamic pipelines by scanning the QR code. I encourage everyone to try out our dynamic pipelines. An easy way to get started is to use dynamic pipelines to replace a code linting step in your existing pipelines. From there, you can move over one pipeline step at a time.